sweetest disposition. One guess who? Who never starts an argument? Who never shows a bit of temperament? Who's never wrong but always right? Who never dream of starting...
The name of Walt Disney to this day is instantly recognizable, even though the man of that name passed away 50 years ago. Disney was an entrepreneur who envisioned a brand that would persist in the hearts of people years in the future, and with others' assistance, developed a company that to this day can get people to change their mind about not spending their money. Just more recently, adding to the repertoire of brands by Lucasfilms, Marvel Studios, and a long list of others that we simply don't have time or energy to mention. Needless to say, we know Disney is successful today, but what about before the glory days? Let's rewind back to a time when being dirt poor was commonplace. 1901, Walter Disney was born, meaning that he had the joys of growing up in the Great Depression. In his high school days at Mckinley High, he started taking drawing and photography classes as well as landing a hand and creating cartoons for the school newspapers. Apparently, at night he would also take courses at the Chicago Art Institute. So if one thing was clear, the boy had a creative streak going, and time wasn't something that stopped him. In 1919, Walt moved to Kansas City, a place where he and his family had spent time before. There, he got a small gig as a newspaper artist and making commercials based on cutout animation. These things gave him time to experiment with camera work and cartooning, as well as get together with people crucial in helping create the Disney magic. His brother Roy, Ub Iwerks, and his other friends started showing their laughograms at the local theaters. And they were popular. But apparently popularity and success don't always go together. At that time, cartoons were just something that you watched before a movie. They were glorified commercials. They were filler. And filler wasn't something that made a lot of money on its own, even if shows now managed to get away with it. So they had to file for bankruptcy. Disney still had a lot of determination after that, though. And with a charming letter, convinced his best animator, Ub Iwerks, and his brother to move to Hollywood. There, they created everyone's favorite, beloved, Mickey Mouse. Okay, no, not really. They still had a ways to go from that. What they really created was Oswald the Lucky Rabbit, a character that chances are you've never heard of and never seen. There's a good reason for that. Despite his popularity, Disney stopped producing them. You see, Disney had decided to take a trip to the distributor of the cartoons, Charles Mintz of Universal. He had the plan of asking for a higher budget and a higher salary, but learned that Mintz's plan was the opposite. Charles Mintz wanted to lower the budget by 20%, which didn't leave too much to work with. He couldn't protest it because Mintz was the one who owned the copyrights to Oswald, not Disney. Walt himself had no idea of the politics of this, but now understood that they could continue making the shorts whether he consented or not. This little incident stung, and the animators that were still loyal to Disney began working on a new character, a character that Disney would make sure was under his name, Mickey Mouse. It was designed by Ub Iwerks, but a lot of the details of that fade because despite having a weird name like Ub Iwerks, the name of Disney overshadows all. And for a reason too. The man did more than help popularize an American icon. He was the first person to make a cartoon using high-quality Technicolor. Well, higher quality Technicolor anyway. It doesn't hold a candle to the colorization we have today. He also was responsible for convincing people that a movie-long animated feature could be done, and that people would see it. And people did, despite what was said about nobody wanting to see a cartoon that long. And probably the most notable of the accomplishments, Walt envisioned a place where the Disney fantasy his brand was so famous for producing could be lived out, a place we call Disneyland. The idea was crazy, and he was reminded of that by countless others while he was trying to go through with it. He started buying up large sums of land to start building this theme park, and after it first opened, the naysayers seemed to be right. The park did suffer from broken rides, it did suffer from bad weather, and tons of other things that spoiled the great illusion he was trying to produce. But despite that, he still made a lot of money, enough so that all these problems could be renovated and the park improved upon. Walt Disney died from cancer a little before his even bigger scheme, Disney World, was completed, but luckily the people who he had tasked still managed to finish it without him. Disney was no god. He wasn't always the greatest at handling problems like strikes and politics, but what he was able to do was inspire people with his talk of magic so that the building blocks could still be put into place, and for that he was a very successful and memorable entrepreneur, one that seemingly society will never forget about, because they have absolutely no choice in the matter, because Disney has bought and owns everything. I mean, like, everything. Just every single thing. Like, it's just, everything.